I've been trained to have the ability to go on and on, yet I'm going to keep these at 5 minutes or less. I watch stuff like this. It's a deep philosophical discussion. There's the theoretical physicist, David Bohm, Krishnamurti. The other gentleman is, I believe his name is Shainberg. He is a psychiatrist or a psychologist in New York. This is just a sampling. There's a lot of material on Krishnamurti. As primary sourcing, it's up to each of us to dive deep into philosophy. I'll leave the link to this series. I avoid the news because it's propaganda. I avoid social media because it's fake. I watched a bit of Democracy Now! And it was total propaganda. They had the Professor Dyson, I forget his name exactly, and there was another guest, another African American guest, and I forget her name. She was pro-Bernie. None of the media is on our side. There's The Hill. They're very pro-Bernie Sanders. They're also pro-Cenk Uygur. Counterpunch let me down 4 years ago. I don't go there anymore. I give up on all of this. I don't give up on Krishnamurti. He's a million times more sane than anything to be found through traditional means of reading newspapers, which is now the internet, websites, looking at headlines here, instead of getting the print on our fingers back in the olden days. The shadow government is the internet. It's the military. It's the corporations. It's all that. I'm not always deep diving into philosophy and keeping everything academic. Sometimes I'm into music. The key, if one looks into this series, I'll leave the link. The key to life is to not be mechanical. I liked the earlier part I just watched, or the last couple. It becomes a blur. I'm not saying it's easy. The psychiatrist is tough to follow. There is a bit of a curve to get used to Krishnamurti and David Bohm. There's basically no such thing as security. As for Bohm, he obviously had Asperger's. Take a look at the stem he used with his hands. On the surface, he's talking with his hands. He's trying to mask the stem. S-T-I-M. It's a mechanical, habitual movement. Mine has been chewing fingernails. I'm not doing it too much now. I'm in isolation. There is a pandemic going on. It needs to be prevented. It needs to be curtailed at the get-go. I don't always deep dive into this stuff. I also can put on music. Just keep listening to long playlists with music. This one group I'm very impressed with and I recommend is called Camel. I'm not going to dive deep into what's going on with, other than providing the link. I'm not going to deep dive into this, why mechanical condition life is no good, why the ego is a false security. Bomb's correct in a previous part that there's security to a point, but it becomes boring. For example, I have stamps. Stamps are one of my special interests. It's one of my few special interests. That's the thing with Asperger's. One doesn't spread themselves out so far. So I've got stamps, and obviously I'm video blogging right here. And that's enough for me. But if it becomes mechanical, it's no good. So I'll stop right there and continue in the next video I create.